You know, there's been a lot of attention lately regarding high-priced agronomic inputs, and rightfully so. Let's take nitrogen as an example, with some forms of N approaching 90 cents a pound. So from an agronomic, an economic, and certainly from a stewardship perspective, there's a lot of interest in how we can execute on being more efficient with nitrogen. When we increase our effectiveness, efficiency comes along with it. Hi, I'm Jim Burkle with Advanced Analytics, coming to you from a very typical cornfield in central Illinois, and I want to share a couple of thoughts with you regarding nitrogen management. So I'm here in the low ground on this farm, and two things stand out to me. One is the dark soil. I'm approaching 4% organic matter here in this spot. So I've got a large pool of organic matter to draw from. But I also notice, of course, increased soil moisture that's going to drive a greater amount of microbial activity for greater mineralization of nitrogen here in this environment. When I move to the high ground, as you'd expect, the soil gets a lot lighter here. It's about 2.5% OM where I'm standing here now. So my organic in reserve is considerably less to start with here as compared to the low ground. We know that these areas are always going to be the first to dry out. Let's apply the observations from these two different environments to what we know about how nitrogen moves to the corn plant. Virtually all of nitrogen is taken up in the plant by the process of mass flow. And when there's no water, there's no mass flow and no nitrogen being taken up. So these water limited acres just flat need higher amounts of applied nitrogen so that when we start drying out in July and August, a critical time for nitrogen uptake, and we do get that next rain, we're absolutely ready to pounce, and we can move a lot of N into that corn plant very quickly before we start to dry out again. So if we think about this in the context of nitrogen strategies and nitrogen use efficiency, nitrogen prescriptions are considerably more effective when we include a multiplier that accounts for the impact of soil moisture and not just OM alone.